Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. My day was all right. This is episode 23, I believe. We're getting along. We're getting along. Yeah, I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. We got a lot to cover today. For the most part, we have a segment on China. We got the other news segment, and we got the Trump administration segment. As always, yeah, I'm gonna yawn, I guess. um. Let's get started, I guess. Not too much for me to talk about. For the Trump administration segment, the head of the U.S. Space Force Base in Greenland has been fired after a J.D. Vance visit. Trump wants to use taxpayer dollars to pay 10 grand annually to each Greenland resident in order to get them to join the United States. And Social Security says it will only use Twitter to communicate. That end one is, yeah. The head of the U.S. Space Force Base in Greenland has been fired after J.D. Vance's visit. The commander of the U.S. Space Force Base in Greenland was fired after she sent a base-wide email defending the relationship between Denmark and Greenland. In a statement Thursday, the Space Force said Colonel Susan Myers was removed as Space Force commander of the Pitof Space Base over a loss of confidence in her ability to lead. The statement would go on to say, commanders are expected to adhere to the highest standards of conduct, especially as it relates to remaining nonpartisan the performance of their duties. um, this is messed up, but um, the Trump administration is going to remove anyone who does not serve their agenda, and that is unfortunate. People should not have to lose their jobs based on their political beliefs. Not to mention, Greenland is a sovereign territory. It is not a part of the United States and likely never will be. So, I mean, she spoke the truth and she got fired for it, which is not only terrifying but extremely unfortunate. I hope she's able to get her job back. But I mean, this is just another instance where Trump has replaced a position with a loyalist, or will likely replace this position with a loyalist. Moving on. Trump wants to use taxpayer dollars to pay $10,000 to each Greenland resident annually. Trump is working a new strategy to claim Greenland. New York Times has reported that the Trump administration is reviewing the possibility of financial incentives for Greenlanders to join the United States. The annual $10,000 a year would supplement the $600 million the island gets from Denmark. Trump wants Greenland badly, and he refuses to give up. J.D. Vance went to Greenland 2 weeks ago now and said a lot of people are interested in it. A lot of people are making a play, and I think you'd be a lot better coming under the United States security umbrella. There is 56,000 people in Greenland, so $10,000 annually would cost taxpayers $560 million annually. But and this is no means me justifying Trump taking over Greenland in any way possible, but Greenland has a lot of resources, and it being a part of the United States would likely not only boost the economy, but have beneficial factors. Of course, the Trump administration is not going to benefit the United States with their acquisition of Greenland and will likely just take it because they want it, not because it is actually useful. But there is some good points to be made with the Arctic trade routes and the resources that are definitely on the island. So, I mean, if Greenland was genuinely interested in joining the United States and any other administration, for whatever other reason they were genuinely interested in joining the United States, um, I think they would provide good benefit to not only our economy, but to a lot of things in our country. They obviously wouldn't be a state. They only have 56,000 people, and if they were made a state, that would be the lowest population of any state ever. Um, but um, Greenland has been very clear that they don't want to be a part of the United States, and that needs to be respected by this administration. And it's going to be an issue if they don't respect that, especially in Europe. I guarantee you, Europe will be extremely unhappy if Trump tried to just seize Greenland. Moving on to the final part of the Trump administration segment. The cough is going away. It's not as bad, I swear. Social Security will only use Twitter to communicate. Weeks after Social Security said they would increase transparency and accountability, the agency announced it would be moving communications from its website onto Twitter. This will become the main communication mechanism for the SSA, and it has not been clear if this will affect the regional offices or the agency as a whole. Oh, you have got to be kidding me, bro. A little late for April Fools on this one, am I right? But seriously, out of all the platforms to talk about government information, out of any platform you could have talked on, you had to choose Twitter. I'm not even on that app anymore. It is genuinely bad. That app is right-wing propaganda and the most annoying bullshit I've ever seen. I mean, Elon Musk every hour has to tweet some annoying, outrageous thing. It's insane. So using Twitter for government communications is insane, and in no timeline should that be even remotely possible. I don't know why we're using a social media app to communicate government things with citizens. Granted, it seems like a good idea, but Twitter, out of all of them, is really the one you decided there. Really, I would argue TikTok is a better platform to do that. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Um, Moving on. We have one segment in the China segment. China has raised tariffs on U.S. products to 125%. China has raised tariffs on the United States to 125%, escalating the trade war. Xi Jinping says his nation is not afraid of the tariffs. China's side of this information is extremely hard to find, which makes sense. I feel like this, but I do feel like this was easier a few months ago. China is kind of more of a secluded country for the most part. Of course, they're a lot more open than countries like North Korea are, but they still are some secluded to some degree. But I mean, I'm going to keep trying as bringing you as much information as possible. Mainstream media wants to keep it to a bare minimum, and I'd rather not. I'd rather provide you as much as I can. So yeah, I apologize for all the China updates for being slim, but honestly, if you go look at the mainstream media, for the most part, it's just either information that isn't essential to being a news update. It's kind of just information that's already known by people. Or it's literally just two sentences about what they did and maybe one quote that they said. So, my apologies. I'm trying to find information, but it's a struggle. So, we're trying out here. Moving on to the other news segment, our final segment of the evening. Apple have shipped 600 tons of iPhones to avoid tariffs, and Democrats are calling for an investigation of Marjorie Taylor Greene for insider trading. Apple has shipped 600 tons of iPhones to avoid the tariffs. Apple has shipped 600 tons of iPhones to the U.S. from India before tariffs were scheduled to take effect. According to Reuters, the company lobbied officials to speed up custom clearance, added workers, and temporarily kept its plant in India running on Saturday to get a 20% increase in production. and it estimated 1.5 million devices were transported in total. That's a lot of phones for sure. I don't know how many phones that is, and I don't know how many phones are brought in the U.S., but I don't think that would be anything close to 600 billion tons. Maybe I'm wrong, but an iPhone really doesn't feel that heavy. Um, I'm interested in seeing how Apple adapts, and I'm interested in seeing how a lot of countries adapt to manufacturing in the U.S. so their consumers don't have to pay the tariffs, but at the end of the day, there is still going to be an upcharge from the tariff, even if it's assembled in the United States. We don't have the resources or the capability to just build all of these things in the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, and it's going to be an interesting direction to see manufacturing come back to the United States. Uh, I don't really know how well it will go. I'm interested to see if it'll be jobs for the people or jobs done by robots. These are all kind of questions I have that we don't really have an answer to yet. Um, I don't know how big of an issue lobbying is in India, but I do think it was definitely wrong for them to do that as well. Lobbying a government in any means to get to what you want is absolutely fucked up. But that's the way the capitalism works, I guess. Clearly a flawed situation in society, but I digress. Moving on to the final segment for today, an investigation of Marjorie Taylor Greene for insider trading. Democrats are calling for an investigation into Marjorie Taylor Greene after her stock purchases in the recent market dip. On Thursday, Texas Rep. Georgiana Casilla said, "We need an investigation into insider trading by people like Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need an investigation into whether any K Street lobbyists or other big firms were tipped off by Donald Trump's actions." Greene claims this matter is utterly absurd. So, Greene claims this matter is utterly absurd, which is an argument only seen through people who are actively doing something wrong. Don't know about you guys, but anyone who is in the right genuinely isn't going to say something's utterly absurd. Insider trading is a huge problem, and it needs to be solved in our government as soon as possible. Congressmen should not be using their power and their control to put themselves ahead of the American people because they work for the American people. I've mentioned on multiple occasions that I will never own stock. I will never invest in any company unless it's my own or something that a good friend of mine is working on. Because I truly believe that I don't want to be that person who is linked to any insider trading. Not saying that I ever would if I had the ability. Absolutely not. Never would. Never would be anything willing to put myself above the people. That is not me. That is not the person I am. That is not the person I stand for. I truly believe that using your strength and using your power to put yourself on top over the people you represent is absolutely sick and absolutely horrid, something you should definitely lose your job for, but unfortunately, that's never really the case. But yeah, I'll never own stock or stake in a business unless it's my own or something near and dear to me that one of my friends is doing. Just because I don't want to be that person and I don't want to put myself in front of the American people. I want to work and support the American people, and I want to work and help the American people. I'm not looking to serve myself. With that being said, thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. If you're on YouTube, we'll start there. If you're on YouTube, thank you all for watching. Drop a subscription. We're just hit 80 subscribers today, and we're on the way to 100. So let's get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. Been a lifelong dream of mine to hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, because that's not an accomplishment I've ever gotten before. I've always wanted to have a play button, and I know you don't get one for 100, but maybe one day I'll get a YouTube play button. That would be super cool. Um, yeah, if you're on Substack, consider pledging your support, or if not, subscribing is always free. All funds go to me, and they help me buy the necessities I need in college and all the other kinds of things. But yeah, with that being said, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow with another episode. Later.